Hi guys, I'd like to talk to you about maximising muscle growth in the gym. So from a training perspective. So a lot of you guys will be seasoned bodybuilders or weight trainers or powerlifters. And you'll be like, what the hell's this guy talking to us about this for? Well, I think knowledge is important. I think new information is important. And I think there's a lot of things out there. To give you an example, the amount of guys that I speak to who have been taking creatine for years and they go to me, don't work, Mark, creatine don't work. And I go, well, what are you doing? How are you taking it? And what sort of creatine is it? The ones that say don't work or it bloats them, they're usually taking creatine monohydrate that's not micronized. First mistake, because the granules are around 200 times bigger than micronized creatine monohydrate. So they don't even get through the mesh in the gut wall. So the absorbability of getting creatine monohydrate in its granular form into the body, into the muscle cells is nigh on impossible. So of course it won't work. And then they're not taking it with something to spike insulin in the body. So when you take something like a creatine monohydrate that's micronized, you just take it in water, you get a little absorption, but not a lot. You take it in a fruit juice 2 or 3 times a day, my God, the difference will be dramatic. Mix that with some secretagogue or something like Ostarine or Liganadrol, my goodness, the results would be crazy. But training, so this is what I'm saying, people have been doing things for a long time and they never seem to develop. And I've been doing this 32 years, so I've run a big gym in the northeast of England. I've always been a personal trainer. I work with a lot of bodybuilders and I get them on the British stage and often the world stage. I work with a lot of powerlifters on their supplementation and diet. Again, world-class athletes. I think that currently I'm working with 4 British champions, world record holders, European champions and world champions. Wow, and what I would suggest from a muscularity point of view is to change up your training. Now, a lot of people tend to just do hypertrophy a lot of the time or strength training. So hypertrophy is that rep range between 8 and 12 reps, which is great for muscle response. But after a certain period of time, you stop traumatizing the muscle. Your muscle gets used to the hypertrophic training, and so it stops responding. So the thing to do is change up your training every 2, 3, 4 weeks, change it around. And people don't seem to do that. When I used to run the Body Zone up in Newcastle, used to have 2 bank managers come in every lunchtime, 5 days a week. And they train for about an hour, they take an hour and a half lunch, and they train for an hour, and they train pretty hard. But they train hypertrophically for the same days, same routine. And over that year of seeing them come in 5 times a week, they never really changed. Yet my clients within 12 weeks, 16 weeks, were changing dramatically because every 3 or 4 weeks I was changing their program up completely. So they were constantly traumatizing that muscle. Progressive overload, it's so important. So here is a bit of gold for people. This is how I would maximize muscle growth in the gym personally. We have 4 different muscle growth pathways, okay? There's 4 different ways to maximize muscle stimulation. Quite important. Way 1 is hypertrophic. So let's go for 8 to 12 reps. We'll keep it in that rep range, but this is the key with it. I see so many people in gyms just counting to 12 when they could have done more. They go, yeah, that's it, 8 to 12 reps, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. You never get me doing 3 sets. I'd go for 5, 6, 7 sets, depending on how I'm feeling. So hypertrophically would be, if you're going to do the perfect 10, by 8, that's when most people fail. 9 is giving it some welly, and your body is screaming, stop. There's no way you're going to get 10 out. Then you do 10. That is proper hypertrophy. That is 10 proper reps. You do that for 5, 6, 7 sets and then move on to the next exercise, you'll know you've had a workout. So hypertrophy is number 1. Mechanical pathway activation is 2. Mechanical being like strength training. So we're going to go heavy. We're going to go for 4 to 5 reps in that rep zone, and we're going to go very, very as heavy as we can. That is a mechanical pathway. That will overload those muscles like you wouldn't believe. You can only keep that up for a certain period of time. So again, there's your mechanical pathway. The next pathway is lactic acid pathway. So they did a trial which was quite interesting out in one of the American labs. I think it was Muscle PhD lab. Dr. Jacob is a brilliant guy, and he injected a bodybuilder in his biceps with just lactic acid and didn't train the bicep. And what he found, or what they found, was the bicep still grew, even without training. So lactic acid seemed to stimulate muscle growth. Lactic acid is that burning sensation we get. So when you get to that, like go back to the 8th rep, and the reason you can't do any more is the lactic acid in your chest as you're doing the bench press is burning, and your body's going, oh, it hurts, I want to stop. So if you can keep your body in that lactic acid threshold, it would be incredible. So the way I would do that would be to kind of superset or tricep or giant set. So again, if we're still on, let's do tricep. So for a tricep exercise, if you got a rope pull down, for example, and you do 15 coming out to the side, yeah? And then you go straight to 15 together, and then turn around and do 15 overheads, then go and do some skull crushers for 15. So with that, the lactic acid is kicked in after the first set of about 12, 13, and it's maintained throughout the rest of those reps. You do 6 or 7 sets of that, your triceps will be screaming. So that's the third way, is the lactic acid muscle pathway. The final way is what they call cell volumization. And this is like the pumps. This is where we get some crazy pumps. So this would be like German volume training, you know. We're doing high reps, but intently. So we're not just sit against, do bench or whatever. You could rep out for 100 reps, yeah? It's just movement, really. What you want to be doing is repping out where by the 15th, 16th rep, you can feel it. It's painful, it's pumping. You get it to 25, 30, and you might have to pause. You pause for 5 seconds, bang, you're on it again, let's go. You do that till you hit 100 reps. That's one set. That is, the blood will be expanding the muscle fascia, the muscles wanting to grow, it's flooding it, and you will develop. Now, if you can use those 4 different principles and you can mix them up, I do a 12-week program where every single week is a different, every single training session is a different thing. It's crazy. It's a crazy program. The results people who keep to that program get, it is unbelievable. You mix that with the right supplementation and diet, off the chart. So there's a little bit of information on growth pathways with muscles. It's fantastic, fascinating stuff. If you haven't tried it, try them out, mix it up. Progressive overload, that Mr. Weeder was so right all those years ago about how to develop muscularity in the human body. Phenomenal. Thanks, guys. As always, hope you found that informative. I will speak to you all very soon, I'm sure. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.